talk about the third and final point of politics. So there's been a decades-long trend in workers getting a smaller share of the pie. This is just, not a Marxist point or try to be favorable towards workers or employers. It's just in the data we find over the last 40 years that the labor share of national income in terms of what's paid out in wages and benefits compared to, profits or dividends that don't go to workers, that share has been declining. It's very volatile. It's very cyclical, as you see from this Wall Street Journal chart. It's very cyclical, but the labor share declining is a well-established fact by almost all economists would say that, at least in the United States, it's declined over the last 40 years. So will that change? Well, how could it change? Well, and union membership is one indication that researchers have pointed to for why it declined, the labor share, because unions declined. These are two charts from the BLS. Union membership has declined among all employees from 20% in the early 1980s to almost 10% now. We see that the number of work stoppages on the right have declined dramatically since the 1980s. These are like strikes, for example. But the question I raise here, excuse me, is could this be a tide that's turning? Because we see, just last week in Staten Island, the first Amazon facility was unionized. That's a big deal, with the second largest private employer in the U.S. Has a unionized shop. We'll see how that plays out. There's going to be lots of litigation. Who knows if other Amazon workers support it? They may not in other areas. But the idea here is that politics can impact recruiting a lot. And here's another example, is stimulus checks. So I mentioned politics because household cash balances right now, this is data from the JP Morgan Chase Institute, are up a lot, thanks in part to those 4 rounds of stimulus checks we, not all of us, but those who qualified received, or whether they received child tax credit payments. The idea here is government policy has a huge impact. And here's the point I mentioned earlier about immigration and visa policies. So this is visa processing from the Cato Institute and how it just declined, particularly for that dark blue bar, the J visas, the temporary work visas, just slowed down to a trickle. All of this to make the point and that the labor market can have a huge swing based upon government policy. So